Well, this is a monumental moment, you know. This is the last canon story in Fazbear Frights. And while there's certainly more to cover, today we're covering Find Player 2, the last main story that's really canon in the series, and one of the most interesting in my opinion. This story features two main characters, really, Amy and Mary Jo, and they're kind of best friends, but Mary Jo's definitely a lot more odd than Amy is in a lot of different ways. They're very different people, and yet Mary Jo and Amy are both at Freddy Fast Food Pizza, and they've been friends for a good while. A little while back, they found a little secret game hidden kind of in the back of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. It's behind a vent grid, and this game is called Hiding Maze. Now, the way this works is it's basically hide and seek in a sort of jungle-ish area where there's all kinds of little places to hide, and you find the other player. Kind of in the name of the story. Amy and Mary Jo go to play this game. Mary Jo is going to be the hider, and Amy is going to be the seeker. This is usually the way that they play, because Amy, to be honest, doesn't really want to play this game all that often. She prefers to kind of do her own thing and read, and so as Mary Jo is hiding, Amy, when she's waiting for Mary Jo to hide, she'll be reading actually instead, until it's her turn to find Mary Jo, because she'd just kind of rather be doing that. This time, though, something is different, because as Amy is going to find Mary Jo, she sees this creepy man in Freddy's who's kind of just staring at her with a weird grin on his face. He's very disturbing. And Amy is so creeped out by this, in fact, that she literally leaves the pizzeria, leaves Mary Jo behind, and just kind of decides, nope, she's out, she's out of here. Now, kind of suddenly, we cut to actually 10 years later right now, where it's revealed that Mary Jo went missing that day as Amy left her, and Emmett Tucker, this man who was watching them, was arrested for kidnapping. It was never really proven whether he did anything to her specifically, but apparently they got enough evidence on him to actually get him arrested, even though he was released later. Amy's had these really disturbing dreams since then where she's just been guilt-ridden, and she feels like it's kind of her fault that Mary Jo was kidnapped and never found again. So she decides she's going to confront this kidnapper, Emmett Tucker. She's going to find out where he is, she's going to confront him, and she's going to find out what happened to Mary Jo all those years ago. Very dangerous mission, very interesting concept, and what you'll notice as the story goes on especially is that it's very similar to the Silver Eyes. Something happened in a Freddy's 10 years ago exactly, just like in the Silver Eyes, and while there was a survivor, someone went missing and presumably died. Now we're going back to the scene of the crime, we're going to find out what happened that fateful day, and hopefully no one dies. So, very similar to the concept of the Silver Eyes, actually, although this one is less involved with the animatronics, and more just kind of a creepy story in that kind of similar vein. So she does this really creepy thing where she kind of stalks him around to find out where he is. She, apparently there was, I think it was an interview with him after he had actually been, like, released from prison, where they interviewed him in a bakery locally. So she goes to this bakery on the hunch that maybe he'll be there. Sure enough, she does spot him there, and she kind of follows him around town for the next few hours until he goes home and she follows him there. And apparently he just kind of never notices her as she does this for this entire time. And she brings a taser and she confronts him. But first, this video is sponsored by my new second channel, Chris Stakes. Do you want to see me talk and whine about stupid Nintendo games? No? Well, I don't care, just please check it out anyway. I've got a couple different episodes up already depending on when you're watching this, and I think you could enjoy it, so maybe check it out. Here's a clip from one of the episodes. Recently, I tried getting into some of these games, and I can tell you with absolute certainty now, I'd rather have Lice than an Atari 2600. This is great. Check it out if you're interested. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video. The problem with this is, apparently he never kidnapped anyone. Apparently that day when he was in Freddy's, he was looking for his daughter Jilly. He was never kidnapping anyone. Apparently he was just looking for his own kid that his ex-wife took because of, you know, divorce and stuff. He ended up framed for kidnapping and he was bailed out. So it's kind of hard to tell whether he's actually telling the truth here or not. He could totally be lying. Maybe he did actually kidnap someone. It's hard to say. But Amy doesn't believe it for a second, and she actually attacks him. And so he calls the cops on her. She has to escape his house because she obviously does not want to get captured. And so she jumps out of a window into a bush to escape capture because he's literally calling the cops on her because she literally attacked him. So she decides, okay, she needs to lay low. Maybe this guy actually never did anything, but if there's any way to find out is to go back to Freddy's itself, see what she can find there. Maybe she can find some sort of evidence to convict this guy of what he did. So she goes to Freddy's, which has actually been replaced and is now a new building, which seems to have been built over top of the old building of Freddy's. Again, a little bit of a Silver Eyes parallel there. And so what she does is she goes to this place. It's now kind of like cow-themed, I believe, for some reason. Okay. She goes inside and she realizes the hiding maze, as well as the whole rest of the building, has been hidden away behind this new building, but you can still access the hiding maze through a vent in the side of the building. If you go into this vent, which she does, she opens up the vent, she goes inside, the whole thing is still there. It looks basically untouched. So she goes inside and she starts searching all the cubby holes. Maybe she'll find something that can give her some sort of hint as to what happened to Mary Jo. Amy actually ends up going into one of the cubby holes herself, and as she's looking around, she notices in the one directly across from her, a pair of eyes staring back at her, but these aren't alive eyes. She's seeing Mary Jo's desiccated corpse. Now what looks like happened is Mary Jo got stuck in one of these cubby holes. The door never seems to have been opened behind her. The door is shut, and it doesn't look like she ever was able to get it back open again. And now, the same thing happens to Amy. The door behind her abruptly closes. She tries to open it, but it looks like it's stuck or something. She can't get out, and as she's literally sitting across from Mary Jo's almost withered away, mummified corpse, she screams for help, but as we cut to one of the restaurant employees, it doesn't seem like anyone really hears her. So, looks like she's kinda dead. Wow, what a great final story. Wasn't that fantastic, guys? I know, I sure am. So what do you guys think? I think that was a pretty decent story for a final story to go out on. No real antagonist here. It doesn't look like Emmett Tucker was really a bad guy. It looks like any sort of bad guy is kind of left up to interpretation, almost, which, is just confusing to me. The Silver Eyes parallels here, I think, have to be intentional because there's so much. It feels very similar to Silver Eyes, even if maybe their intention wasn't to have it be an exact comparison. I feel like there has to be a reason behind that, and yet, it doesn't really feel like this story tells us anything new about maybe the Silver Eyes or about this universe in general. And that's the weird thing about the series. It has a lot of parallels, and yet none of them really seem to tell us anything new about the things that they're paralleling half the time. I definitely find the idea very interesting of like this hidden area in the back of Freddy's that no one ever goes to, so hidden away, in fact, that someone can die there and just be there for years, a decade, in fact. I mean, that's really all I have to say. Really, I want to cover the Stitch Wraith story, to be honest. That's what I'm really gearing up to cover, because the Stitch Wraith story is over. I need to figure out what it means at this point. I've kind of, for the last few epilogues, been stalling, so I can kind of see if any new things become clear, so I can actually piece this thing together. That has not happened, and this new epilogue is just as confusing as the last few to me, so I think I need to actually take the time to figure it out. So that might be a very long video. I have no idea. I'm going to sit here and talk about it until I can piece together what it means myself. It's going to be very unscripted. Even this video it has like a guideline that I'm following, so I can kind of talk about the story. That will probably have none of that. It's just going to be me talking and trying to piece together this with you guys, and maybe we'll figure something out, maybe not. I need a podcast. We'll see, I guess. Thank you guys. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.